What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Jump. Dima, come on, music! Well, tourism is one way to really get a lot of money into an economy, especially if it's the international market, because your currency, if you're a foreign currency, gets exchanged for the dollar as demand for it, goods and services are bought, and people can have a good time. So tourism is a really good way to increase the money into the economy. But I never thought that one of the greatest cities in the world for tourism right now, at least on YouTube, would be Dolton, Illinois.
What?
All for the wrong reasons. I want to give a shout out to a brother that came all the way from Oklahoma, and I really like his content. His name is The Real Late Night Crew.
I feel like I'm Gucci Mane in 2006.
He's one of the guys that have driven all the way from Oklahoma to go to Dolton to capture this stuff live. That's how interesting what's going on in the city of Dolton in Tiffany Henyard. Literally, it is becoming a tourist attraction for all the wrong reasons. And one of the wrong reasons is the situation with Mr. Andrew Holmes. Mr. Andrew Holmes is a man that is a trustee in the city of Dolton. Historically, he's been a Chicago civil rights activist, but somehow he finagled his way into the Dolton trustee board, even though he doesn't live in Dolton. I don't know how that happened, but he kind of scammed his way into that. But then this incident happened.
Good evening, all. I would like to ask the trustees, thank you, number one, and for that last one in regards to the Las Vegas incident. I know you're going to ask for an investigation. I'm hoping that means the administration will have nothing to do with it. But I would like to ask you, if it's possible, if you can ask while this is ongoing, that Trustee Holmes is suspended from his trustee duties pending investigation. And that's as in any, Valerie can speak to that, any law enforcement organization. If a law enforcement officer is accused of something as egregious as this, they are suspended either with or without pay pending the investigation. And I do not, and I hope the rest of you agree with me, do not want him sitting there representing me or my village. Thank you.
Now, once that incident happened, we didn't know who he was or what it was. We now know that that person is Andrew Holmes, but we always didn't know that. We kind of believed it was Andrew Holmes. And even people were accusing him at meetings when he wasn't showing up.
Just for, and I hate to even say courtesy, we still have to say unnamed trustee because nope, it's alleged. So just out of respect, we still have to say whoever you may think it is, unnamed trustee, out of the respect of the investigation.
That's right. People were calling for his resignation. But here's something. Even Kiana Belcher was like, listen, we don't know who is really on that thing, so we can't implicate Andrew Holmes. But now we can implicate Andrew Holmes. And then that brings me to another guy who's very popular. Fast forward, Demo! There's a brother by the name of Jedediah Brown, who is not really big on YouTube, but he is big on Facebook. Interesting guy, quite funny, to say the least. And Jedediah Brown was the first person that I heard that had this to say about Andrew Holmes.
I want you all to listen to me because I am going to use my words very specifically. I am not saying alleged. I am telling you all that I was directly told. Now, we limited the conversation because I do not want to become the witness in this particular type of case. But what we were told is that it appears that Andrew Holmes has a liking for women. Now, we do understand that he has a Nick Cannon size amount of kids. Him and Nick Cannon is running neck and neck of making sure that the black population is consistently on the rise. Whatever. But what we have also ascertained in our findings is that it also appears that Mr. Andrew Holmes has a liking for underage girls. And there may be a bit of grooming that have taken place. Now, what has happened, or what we have been able to understand from testimony of individuals that we will not mention. I've talked to some parents. I've talked to the friends of parents, and what it has been said and what has been alluded to and what we are now looking further into is that there are 4, but out of 4, 2 that that we have literally got specific information about of individuals that are underage. Now, this is where the shit gets interesting, and it takes a real interesting turn for me, is because if he has had a consensual sexual relationship with underage girls that have been groomed, you got to deal with that, right? There's a level that you got to deal with that. So what they're saying is, anyway, these underage accounts are saying that basically he may have been involved in a little bit of grooming. And one of the things that it appears that Andrew Holmes has potentially done is he's taken these underage girls, which means y'all might have seen, listen to what I'm finna say out of my goddamn mouth. It is alleged that some of these individuals, these underage girls that he've had these relationships with, although consensual, he have taken them with him to crime scenes. What? So Andrew Holmes potentially had brought underage female companions with him to crime scenes.
Oh yeah, that's what he said. He pretty much was saying that Andrew Holmes was known for booty clapping sounds. Doing this with younger women. This is what he said. Now again, I never heard that from anybody else, but Jedediah Brown is a person that lives in Chicago. He's known for doing things like this. And he actually showed up to the Thornton Township meeting, and he was actually one of the speakers there. He had this to say to the mayor.
My name is Jedediah Brown, and I'm homeless, so I could be everywhere. So with that being said, to the young lady that was speaking, I want her to know that as a man that's advocating, I heard everything she said. And I'm asking for everybody to be as gentle and kind to the employees who have inherited this mess. We are not trying to attack the employees, but if you be disrespectful, we'll match it. And then with that being said, I would like to also make it very clear, we're not here for you. But because you work in this government, understand people's lives are affected by this government. And just like I care about the young lady who spoke, I care about the young lady who made sexual assault allegations and who confided in the leader. And the leader who had a constitutional duty to report that to the local Las Vegas police abdicated that duty so that she can sit there with nice hair and nice clothes and nice bottles of water. So if I'm going to protect one employee, I'm going to protect them all. But what I want to do here, because I don't live in this particular area of my homelessness, I want to say this to you, Tiffany. You had an opportunity as a black woman, as an elected official, to stand on the shoulders of so many of the most disrespected women in the history of this nation, to actually create something that would give generations behind you something that they can model after. However, this has been the Tiffany Henyard show. This place is completely, your face is everywhere. You also, I know you got those banners inside of the village that you didn't put up yet. You could go ahead and put them up. We know what you own. But this is the thing. The reason why people should never vote for anything with this administration without knowing the facts is because they got a whole history of trying to hide their corruption. Nobody in good government, not even, especially not a super mayor, especially not a black woman who understands the road that you have and understands that the history that you're creating, there's going to be another black woman that's going to run, and she's going to be looked at through the lens of what you do in your governing. So when everybody say, oh, this is a black woman, we got to think about all black women. Because I know a lot of black women that's going to school right now, they aspire to be exactly where you were blessed. You were an illegitimate mayor. You were recalled by the people. However, you overcame it. That was God giving you an opportunity to make something of it and prove them wrong. But exactly what's happening, this is not people that's just disgruntled. But the Bible says that when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. And then Dr. Martin Luther King said that unrest is the voice of those that have not been heard. So what you're dealing with is people trying to figure out, how does a man that's homeless come to try to bring awareness to what's going on, like a police officer. I have a video of one of your officers having sex in your jail cell. I'm trying to figure out, how does a woman who you know have compromised sensitive investigative material, how do you have a woman who is unethical in every sense of the word, had an irresponsible relationship with your former chief's child? did it on company time in a company vehicle, and left the village when she should have been there protecting the citizens. She was trying to get her rocks off. This is what I'm trying to figure out. How does that woman become internal affairs for your police department, and then I get served with a restraining order today from that woman, and you allow her to be a police officer still in your department? With that being said, let me make it clear. If you're unethical on one side, we got to watch you on another. So the way you lead as a mayor is why we're handling you this way as a supervisor. And the best thing you can do with all the controversy is step aside and don't make these people have to go through another day, because I'm going to tell you something. Yes, you're beautiful, and yes, you have done you've done things that people have not done. But your presence is now a harm to these individuals. And then I'm gonna ask you this one simple question, because this is what I'm really here for, and I can say so much because I say you always give out receipts. I'm trying to figure out why not one time have you got on anything and spoke to that young woman who said that she was sexually assaulted. I have seen no empathy from you at not no time. You've not spoke about her. You said you're okay. You talked about what you are doing, but what about what she's been going through for the last year? And I understand, let's not talk about an investigation while it was pending, but it wasn't pending until it was exposed. And she had to do it herself because you betrayed her. So my question now to you is, now that the media have put out the name of the accused trustee, Andrew Holmes, who is the only trustee who has an office in your building, I'm asking you this question. Are you going to call for his resignation? Are you going to fight or get him removed from office? Are you going to cooperate with a fair and transparent, thorough investigation into these sexual assault allegations? Are you going to apologize to that girl while you want us to be nice to this girl? And I'll leave you with this. This isn't personal for me, but I will be releasing everything that I have, and y'all can send every bit of paperwork. You can weaponize your police department, and you can look at me all smug. But I'll tell you what I do know. Everybody has their day, and I'm not afraid. So Jedediah is here to stay.
So again, this is important. Out of all of the trustees that have an office, there are 6. There is Andrew Holmes, there is Stan Brown. Those are the ones that are supposed to be on her side. Now remember, Andrew Holmes is not from Dolton, doesn't live in Dolton. But the other 4 trustees that are against the mayor is Kiana Belcher, Tammy Brown, Jason House, Brittany Norwood. Then you have my boy, the Honorable Edward Steve. Give him a round of applause. I really have a lot of respect for Brother Edward Steve. As a black man, as a father, I mean, I think that the work that he does, he's the MVP over there, from what I can understand. All right, I know all of them are working hard, but the stuff that he does, bringing this to the attention, even though he lost his job because of that witch, I love what that brother is doing. Okay, and this is a brother that is a married black man. I cannot say enough good things about him. All right. However, only Andrew Holmes has an office. Now, Andrew Holmes has said, listen, he's not going to go back and forth about this. He's not going to address it, but he has not been at any of the meetings. And for a good question, because he could get attacked. Something bad could happen to him. But guess what? What the guy is saying, listen, Tiffany, when are you going to address it? She's covering up for the guy. Still hasn't addressed it. And you know what? Maybe that's loyalty, or maybe it's not. But one thing is for sure, the city of Dolton has a lot of problems. And I'll say this like I'll tell anybody there. And it didn't just begin with Tiffany Henyard, okay? The thing is, the fact that you guys had her as a candidate was the beginning of the problem. Dolton has a history of having a lot of problems with its water, with its police, with a lot of things for the last at least 20 years or 30 years since Dolton became a black-dominated city. It has been terrible since then, from what I understand. It's not as bad as it is now, but the city has had many problems. And Tiffany Henyard being the mayor is just the ice cream on the cake, if you will. But the city has a lot of problems. And one of the questionable hires that people have a problem with is Lori Lightfoot, all right? And the fact that Andrew Holmes is a trustee is also a problem, but the decision-making in the city has been a problem. So the question that I have to every trustee on the Dolton trustee board is, once you get rid of Tiffany Henyard, what then? And I believe that this city, if I'm a betting man, you know, if they get Jason House as the mayor, that'd be good, or Brother Edward Steve or somebody else. The question will be is, how better of an administration will you run in comparisons to what you see in Henyard? And if we are to see that this doesn't turn around within 2 terms, it's gonna be the same thing. then Tiffany Henyard will be able to say, you see, y'all got me out of there. What about the next person? And this happened at our church. You know, we had a pastor that had a lot of problems, caused a lot of problems. We got rid of him. Then the next pastor came. He had a lot of problems. There was the choir director that was sleeping with the boys and the men in the church and all that. He went to jail. Then the church dwindled down. It wasn't just a pastoral problem. It was a leadership problem throughout the last 30, 40 years, and it just came to a head. So when we got the pastor out, and then we got the new pastor and still had even more problems, it showed me it was something wrong with the deacon board, the trustee board. It was a lot of other problems in the church that we hadn't addressed. And in the church now is on its last leg. It's not my fault. But guys, what do you think? It's your boy, Jedediah Jackson. Back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. Appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe to the bell. We're out.